does Tyrese Haliburton shot from Tuesday rank in the best moments of his career? And where does that game rank among the best Pacers regular season games of recent years? Derek Kramer and I will break all that down today before talking about Tony Bradley getting another 10-day on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Thursday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers, as always. My name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, really fun discussion about the moment that was Tuesday night. Thankful to the scheduling gods for 2 days off for the Pacers in between, so we can talk about it and really get into the weeds on where that moment stacks up among the best of Tyrese Haliburton's career and among the best regular season games the Pacers have played in the, let's call it, recent era, since they switched jerseys or since Kevin Pritchard got hired as president. Lots to get to with Derek Kramer. We got to a ton of games, a ton of moments, a bunch that you probably forgot about, and at the end, Tony Bradley coming back on another 10-day. Why? What does that mean? We'll talk about that and so much more. Long combo. It's very fun. Let's just get right to it. The question asker is here. The reason these topics are here is because Derek Kramer quietly asked me before media after Haliburton went hammo on the final shot of Pacers Bucks, where does that rank in the best regular season games you've ever seen in person? And where does that shot rank among the best you've seen? And we very quickly came up with a few that topped it. So Derek Kramer, the question asker, you know him as iPacersblog, is here. Unfortunately, was not selected to be one of the tank-tastic players who played in Raptors Sixers tonight. How are you, Derek?
Not bad. I know I kind of look like Marco Bellinelli, or I used to more. So I look like a shorter version of and a much less athletic version of an NBA player. I could have done it. Not really. No.
I'm serious. That's what they would want. They're trying to lose so bad.
Great.
I was talking to somebody today. I'm sorry to derail a Pacers show immediately. That was one of the most important Sixers games of the last 5 years. They needed to lose so bad. It's unbelievable. I hate the NBA for setting this up. Okay. Amazing game Tuesday night. And thank you, NBA schedule gods, for giving us 2 days off in between. So we can actually do something very rare and take the time to really talk about a regular season game and a shot like that from Tyrese Haliburton, who's had many shots like that in his career. And because Derek asked me those questions, I wanted to really think about it. Tyrese Haliburton's best shots with the Pacers. We'll try to rank them. We'll fail. And you asked me about best regular season games that I've covered, but we're going to expand that, I believe, to games we were not at by the end of the conversation. You want to do games first or shots first?
Let's start with the shots.
Okay. I'll let you go first. I have tons, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of overlap.
So, I think we both agreed last night, his biggest shot, and I think Ty even said this on ESPN today, he thinks his biggest shot is the playoff game winner.
Yes.
The floater. That's number one.
That is my number one as well.
Easy decision.
I haven't actually ranked anything beyond my top three, but that was done. Yeah. Okay, don't have to think about it. If you don't remember the floater, Patrick Beverley fouled him from behind in overtime of game 3 last year in the most tenuous game ever. Just to
pivotal game 3. Yeah.
And hey, spoiler alert, we will be breaking Patrick Beverley up again later. Don't you worry, everybody. Mm-hmm. Yes, that as amazing as Tuesday's shot was, the playoffs just, I think by default, gets you a tear up. And it was very similar in that it was, I forget exactly how much time was left, but a few seconds left of a tied game to
I think there was
for the final time.
Maybe 1 second left after he hit it. In the play call by Mark Jones was much better. It elevated the moment too. Yes. That adds to the moment. Level of difficulty. I don't think one's gonna top last night's, but moment playoffs, all of that. It's the easy one.
I can't let that game pass by without once again saying, poor Aaron Nesmith, who the biggest shot of his career, forgotten to time in that same overtime. Chris Middleton ruining his fun.
Chris Middleton, just absolute demon.
Okay. If you had to keep ranking them, would the shot Tuesday night be your number 2?
Yeah.
It's so hard to figure out if I'm having recency bias. You know what I mean? Because I just saw it, right? but it's certainly a very high on his list.
I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think it's the national TV, the fact that people like Adam Schefter are tweeting about it, like that kind of like, okay, this isn't just recency bias. Like everybody is reacting to this. The NBA is calling it potentially the shot of the year. Like none of these other shots brought that level of other stuff for reactions from everybody who don't just pay attention to the Pacers all the time.
Yeah, Adam Schefter of ESPN tweeted out a game that was on TNT. Like, what? It was crazy. And again, we went through all this stuff talking and in our own ways, but national TV, Reggie in the building, like not a must-win game, but their most important game of the season to that point. That some of that stuff will be lost to history. Over Giannis with a foul. And it felt like, I mean, the way they've been playing of late, and like this part will get lost too. Like it felt like they blew it, right? Like they had just blown 2 fourth quarter leads last week. Like the snap of emotion, like it was just ridiculous. And the degree of difficulty, probably the highest we'll get to today, without a doubt.
What was your last part?
With the degree of difficulty, without a doubt, the highest we'll get to today. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think that's 100% the hardest shot that he's hit, like in term and biggest. I guess there is one earlier this year that was difficult.
Yes, the Sixer shot.
Yes, the Sixer shot. I think is the only one that's going to bring that up. But like, he's also had a few where he's like attempted the weird like. I'm stuck. I'm pump faking. Like it's going to be really hard for me to get off a shot at all. And that's like the one he's made. So we know it's difficult because he's missed a bunch of those. But I think this one easily still tops it. Just the fact that he's shooting it over a 6'11" Giannis and just falling away, all of the things. I think that's easily the best. And like, it's crazy. Like they missed so many wide open shots in this game. It was just very poetic that their hardest shot that they took all game is the one that goes in.
Was there like a half court heave? Would the half court heave they took probably been easier than that shot? Like it's close.
Or the shot he didn't take in the playoffs against the Celtics that was like near half court.
That's right.
That he could have taken. Like I think that would have been an easier shot than the one he hit yesterday.
Ironically, that game will get brought up in this conversation. So if again, I got harder to rank stuff after 2, but I kind of thought 3 was somewhat easy, even though I was like, "Oh, this one was good too." Did you also think 3 was somewhat easy?
I just have like a list.
Okay. Well, if I'm ranking 3 before we get to like a tier of stuff, I think because it's still to this day his career high scoring game. That game against the Heat in late 2023. Around Christmas time when he had 43. I'm checking if that's still his career high, but at the time certainly was his career high in scoring. That's 44 now, excuse me. At that point, his career high. Amazing in that game. Just absolutely cooked to the Heat all night. Gets his guy Tyler Hero, then gets Kyle Lowry, then just steps back and they both just forget about him. I mean, it was awesome. And in a tie game too, like a couple of these we'll get to, they were already winning, so it's not as cool. That one, I think, given how well he played the whole game, gets the final boost into the top 3 for me.
Yeah, I think I'd probably also put it at 3. He's got a very similar shot with the defender that you already brought up that's going to be brought up again that I think is probably the closest to breaking into this. But yeah, I think the career high at the time, big moment. Huge shot. That was his first like game winner of his career too.
No one else was any good in that game. Buddy Hield had 21. No one else had more than 14. And they beat the Heat, who were trying and playing well. And Jimmy Butler and Hero, all those guys were good because Haliburton was better than all of them. And at that time too, like the way that season was, they had their IST run, but like they were, that was a thing. That was a big one.
Was that the same season? Like he had the 1-point game against the Heat earlier in the year.
Yes.
And then he bounced back to get the 43 against them there. No, he's had a lot of big games in Miami.
He has. And he's also had some stinkers in Miami. And then he had the game where he played well and then didn't play the next one. And Bruce Brown carried them to a win. Miami has just, they had the game this year where they like couldn't miss and lost. Miami's a weird place for the Pacers to go. Yeah, number 4, I think, if we're gonna keep going on, we've been in lockstep so far, is to you the 3 over Patrick Beverley in Chicago.
Yep. Chicago. Going left, about the same spot as the Heat game winner too.
Yeah, a little more to the left, I think. I tried to watch as many of them as I could. That one tied game 2 as well. So like real separation. The Bulls weren't very good that year, but that was his that was the first time that like the Beverly Haliburton became a thing. You know what I mean? Like he mentioned that Patrick Beverley said something before that game, and then it came up after the shot. Yeah, that was the first night it became a thing, and that shot kind of etched it in, which made Pacers Bucks even better. As if that series needed any more going on. But yeah, that one was a clear number 4 to me as well. Everybody, quick break here to talk about FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. It's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. You can have your eye on a few underdogs, or FanDuel makes it easy to pick them or back them with spreads, totals, game props, whatever you are into, with tournament games happening almost every day. There's something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app. It's simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. One more time, that's on FanDuel.com.
All right. So you said you're going to make me or bring up one that you think I'm going to forget. So
I have a bunch you'll probably forget. Well, I have a hodgepodge of like, ooh, these ones were cool. Does anyone remember these? So go ahead.
The next one that I have is another 4-point play.
Oh, I bet I have it. Let's go.
Yeah, the shot against the Celtics, the IST.
Jaylen Brown fouled him. Gosh, you did a great job, Derek. Yes, that is also very high on my list. Yeah, that one kind of forgotten because there was like a minute to go, right? Or like 90 seconds left in that game. But also, as a theme here, broke a tie. Huge shot. Yeah. Getting fouled, apparently his thing.
And that's one of the games that we'll bring up when we're talking about the best regular season games, I think, as well.
Yeah, that was the last game on the Royal Peacock nonsense.
Rest in peace, Royal Peacock.
Rest in peace. Remembered finally more for the results than how it looked. Yeah, that was gross. And then he had an assist or two, I think, after that, like because they ended up winning by like 10, right?
Yeah, they had like 7 straight points in like 30 seconds. Neesmith had a dunk that kind of was the cherry on top.
Okay, I have a tier of 3 that I think will get lost to history. None of them are all for different reasons. One was early this season when they played the Magic, their only win over the Orlando Magic. They were up by, I believe, 13 in the fourth quarter. Chip down the lead. They're up 2 with 30 seconds to go. Jalen Suggs, an amazing defender guarding Tyrese Haliburton, crossover yam from the top of the key during his down streak to beat an at the time good Magic team. That was the first shot this season of his that was like, oh yeah, there he is. That's what he can do when he has
the first one this season. I think the first one.
The first one in a game they won, because the second one that would get lost to time. Oh, you had one
Pistons. He had a big clutch shot in the Pistons game. Here comes the boom.
Yeah, that's true. They sucked in that game, and they were up 6 or 5 when he hit that one.
Yeah. Like he's had so many like clutch shots in the last couple minutes that either like put the game away. Like they might have already been up 3 at that time, but it was like the icer, the clincher.
The Steph Curry screwed me up game.
Yeah, the nap game.
Gosh, if they somehow didn't lose to the listless Sixers, his OT shot against Philly on opening night this year, and that one would have had a lot of lore stuff too. It's just like home opener, him not playing well, twice in a row, squeaking out crazy buzzer beaters early in the season, like, and that kind of still reminded everybody, even when he was struggling early in the year, that like his clutch gene's still pretty good, you know, even in those kind of moments. But then they lost, and no one talked about the shot.
Like still, I think he's 41% from 3 on the year in the clutch. Like all year, that's been consistent. Like he's been hitting those shots even when he wasn't early in the year. At least while those games were close and they needed him to hit it the most, he was fine. He was fine in the basket.
One more.
I will admit I did not have the Magic on my list.
But I have one more you definitely didn't have.
Did you have the Jazz shot on your list?
I don't have the Jazz shot on my list.
That was a game winner. Like he got open, hit they for some reason just didn't guard him for like half a second, dribbles down the. It was like one of his easiest. I think that was probably the like lowest level of difficulty in terms of like game winner.
Probably, yes.
Essentially, that's the last one I have from this year.
I am looking now. No, I have no more from this year either.
I have one other from last season.
I also have one other from last season. Is it the Rockets?
It's not the Rockets.
Oh,
so you got me on another one.
Okay.
Mine is the Bucks. He hit a 3. They were down 2.
Oh, yes.
And he hit a 3 with a minute left, and they ended up winning that game.
I do have that. I also have his 3 before he Dame timed.
Yes.
That one is not like
way up here on my list, and I never even brought it up.
Well, they were going to win that game, right? Yeah. That one was a dagger, not like it changed the game kind of shot. So it doesn't fit my criteria perfectly. I literally have it in a separate column off to the side. I have 3 things over there that we'll get to. No, you don't remember this against the Rockets last year? They're up 2. It's their last possession of the game. And it's not an impressive defender, but he got Jeff Green on skates, drove into traffic, and hit the layup to end it. A very rare Haliburton crazy shot at the end of a game that was inside the arc and required scoring over a lot of defenders. We've mentioned a few of those, but they're mostly 3s. I did not think you'd have that one.
No, yeah, that was not on my radar at all. So yes, you definitely got me on a couple of them for sure.
You got me already. I forgot that Jazz one somehow. That one definitely should have been on here.
I should have brought up the Dame time one earlier because I do have that one on my list, and that definitely added more to the Bucks of it all as well.
Yeah. Okay, I have 3 games where he did signature stuff, like the Dame time stuff that's in this other column that isn't a game winner.
Okay.
If we're calling the signature moments. Do you have anything else?
I'm out of shots, so let's hear your moments.
Okay. This one will be lost to time also. The first 5 points the Pacers scored in overtime of game 1 in Boston last year, after they blew it and he hit a 3 and then drew a foul and hit free throws. I think they were up 5 or 3 after the free throws. I thought, oh, they're still going to win. Like he's playing that well. Like they can do this. They did not win, as everyone remembers. And he obviously the way that he didn't score at the end of regulation sits with everyone and should, but that had a chance to be a career definer as well, like another playoff clutch. He had 2 in one postseason.
That game 1 is just like one of the all-time, like, just wonder what would have happened if they could have finished that one.
Why is every Pacers Celtics game just insane?
There's so many. There's so many. So many. We'll bring up a lot of Celtics games in the next section.
Okay, late 2022, his first full season with the Pacers, their last game, you'll never guess who they were playing. The Boston Celtics, when he had 9 points and I think 7 assists in the fourth quarter. When he came in, they had 11 straight scoring possessions where he either scored or assisted as they beat the Celtics in kind of a coming out party win and a kind of like, oh, okay, this kid's really good game. Do you remember that one at all?
I feel like I remember the Wob tweet where he just lists like Haliburton bucket, Haliburton assist, just like all of those that he would do. Like I feel like he had like 10 of those for a stretch that would just be like every basket the Pacers scored was connected to Tyrese.
My last one, which is both a shot and a moment-ish. The last group stage game of the World Cup when they played Germany.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and they were losing late in the third quarter. He had a 3 very late in the quarter that got him within I forget what, and then they won, and he ended up with nearly a double-double in a 40-minute game. That was his best international game at the time, and the game where everybody was like, remember this, like, oh, why is Brunson starting? Should this guy be starting? And then he was, like, amazing every time he'd play. That was the first game in that tournament where everybody was like, oh, this kid's good. He should play a lot. And then he did the rest of the way.
Yep. Yeah, him and Reeves, like a lot of people thought were the best players on that team for a while.
Pre-Anthony Edwards explosion, they were quite good for that team. What, you have anything else? Did I miss anything else?
I think in terms of just like signature moments, it's not like a fourth quarter thing, but the back-to-back 2020 games,
yeah.
That's like that's just insane to do that two games in a row.
He still hasn't done that since, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. And he had no turnovers in one or both. I forget. One of them for sure.
It might have been both, or he had like one early in the game, so he still had like 40 some assists in a row or something crazy.
Yeah, it was something where the stat query was like never, like no. Yeah, it's like why are you making this up? Yeah, yeah. That was crazy. He got one assist away from I think their franchise record, and he's like, "Oh, if I knew, I would have gone for it." Someone's got to tell him. You know,
I like that he's honest about that kind of stuff.
Well, if we're gonna do moments like that too, were you at this game? The very first quarter they played with him after they traded for him when they were playing the Cavs, they had 48 points in the first quarter, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, like this is going to be the best thing ever. I was not present for that one, but yeah, that was like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, God. It's like instant. Yeah, love at first sight for every Pacers fan, I'm sure.
The exact opposite play style that they had that whole season. Oh man! All right, I think I'm out of stuff. I'm sure some tweeters or commenters will be like, "Hey, you idiot! You forgot about these or this," which is fine.
We're only human.
No, we gotta get it. We gotta get it perfect, man. I hope a second postseason can add to this because those just like by default are just better. They are. All right.
I guess we should mention, if we're talking about moments, like the Game 7 in Madison Square Garden, like just that whole thing.
Yeah, I'm bummed that you asked me about regular season games because
I think because the answer is obvious if it's not regular season.
Well, that wasn't even a good game. Like, if you know what I mean. If you're a neutral observer, did you even make it to the end of that? Like, I think only people in the building or who were rooting for the Pacers actually watched the end of that game, right? Like,
especially with like Brunson getting hurt. And just
right.
Every Knick was on like death row by the end of that game, but not that it would have mattered with how they were shooting anyway.
Listeners to this podcast certainly would have that game on. We'll break here, guys. Let's talk about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you can start managing your money and start building wealth. When you use Monarch, you realize just how much you can be spending on things like food delivery. You can budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, just use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. How about that? That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off of your first year. Your question, though, was specifically, where does this rank in regular season games? I've covered. We're going to expand that a little bit because then I'd have to get into semantics or remember if I was actually there, which I believe was easy, whatever. Because regular season games require like a certain, like a shot like that to get that sort of memory. And that one's up there. I mean, it was ridiculous. And they always lose that kind of game on national TV. They literally blew it against Giannis earlier this season. That's up there. Is it your number one? If you even rank these,
it's so hard.
It is
because of recency bias. Like, I asked this question on Twitter just because I wanted help, like jogging my memory for older games that have, like, even if they were awesome, like there's so many regular season games that it's hard to keep them in your head. But there were so many people that were just like last night. Like, I don't care. Last night is the one.
Wow. I don't think that's right.
I think the thing about that, like, it was so close throughout the entire thing. Like, it actually has stakes to where it matters for the upcoming games. Like, it's way up there. Like, I think easily top 3, top 5. I think you can.
It's high up.
Like, say it for sure. I don't know if I could put it there yet. Like, I feel like I need to like let it marinate for a little bit and then see how I feel. But it's like that. Just Reggie being there, TNT, national TV, a 4-point play to win a game where it just felt like everything was going wrong with all the wide open shots that they missed. Just against a team that they have a lot of history with the rivalry. If you want to put it there, I'm not gonna like say no, it has to be something else. Like I think it's definitely in the conversation for best.
Will you allow me to say a crazy thing?
Yes, say it.
Was that their best game this season? Pacers Celtics in October was insane.
So my problem with that one is they shouldn't have never got to the point where it needed to be.
That's true. That's true.
That was just like, oh crap, is it happening again? That's what it felt like. Is this game one all over again?
It was. So it actually was until over.
Yeah, that's definitely way up there as well. But because of the they had to get the choke off of them against the Celtics, that one goes down a notch for me.
Was that on national TV? I don't remember.
I think it was.
I think it was.
I feel like
it had to have been, right? Rematch of the conference finals that early in the season, it had to be, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that one was
was incredible in that game.
I was going to say Haliburton wasn't even that good in that game. Siakam was just absurd in that one.
Yeah, that was the first he can really hit threes
And people remember the three that he hit, which but he tied it right before that too.
Right before that, 5 points in the last those last
that one was great. When they were losing, right, with a minute to go, you were there, right? We all thought, oh, they lost it. They blew it. Both the Bucks game and that game had that same feeling of just oh, geez, they blew it, and then they didn't both times. I don't know because the Haliburton shot is better than the Siakam shot.
Yeah,
but the whole game package and overtime is kind of hard for me to separate. Those are the only two from this season that I think I can rank really high, though.
Yeah, I think that because it's a game in March compared to a game in December, I think the
stakes of the March game actually were a thing too.
Yeah, the Pacers had to have this one to even have a chance at the tiebreaker against the Bucks. So many reasons that I definitely have that game as the best game this season, and then there's a couple that I think you could argue depending on your preference.
Okay, are we just bouncing around this season? Are we going? So I put this era on this graphic of since I've been covering the team, which is basically since the Depot trade, a little before that, I suppose. But Derek is going to go before that. How far back do you want to start going, or do you just want to keep going with some of the best?
Let's just start with the Vic and since then, and then I'll just kind of mention some pre-Vic.
Well, can I throw in the one that I said to you immediately when you asked me if that was the best one?
Yes,
because the Vic return game to me is probably going to be my number one. Just because, it's so rare that a regular season game feels like that. There were towels and, covered seats and, they stopped the game when he checked in because he came off the bench and all that. And then he hits another shot and does the point at the ground thing. Are you kidding me? That's like a movie. It was crazy. That one was nuts.
There are so many Victor Oladipo moments that are going to be mentioned. It's insane that he was only here for as short of a period as he was, with how many just insane clutch moments that he had. And that one was incredible. I was there in the building for that one. I was not covering it as media. That was one of the only ones I went to just as a fan. You have
the towel still?
It was a sign because I have the one. Right. I have the one for PG's too, and it was smaller. The welcome back PG was like this, and then the Vic one was even bigger. But they gave everybody little cardboard signs that were cool, and just everybody holding up when he came back in, and just the insanely deep shot. They were he was just oh, they're not gonna guard me, so I'm just gonna shoot it. That was incredible. I don't think it's my top one. I think if he would have been able to play in the overtime too, I think then
okay. Also he made it, but he kind of sucked in that game.
It was not great in that game. But he hit the
9 points.
Yeah. He hit the shot that mattered.
That is, people always try to ask loudest it's ever been. Last night was for a regular season game up there. I think the Depot shot was maybe the loudest.
I don't even. Can I say something crazy?
You never notice? You don't notice?
No, I don't think that's my favorite Victor Oladipo game.
Wow, that is impressive to me.
I think there are multiple that you can put over that one.
He's got a lot of good ones.
So my best Oladipo game, and it's tough between two for me. The first one for me, though, is his 47-point game against the
Denver.
Nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they came back from being down 19 in that game. They were down 6 with like 90 seconds left and like won in overtime. And I actually was covering that as media. That was one of my first ones that I ever did. I was covering for Tyler Smith for Indy Sports Legends. He let me sub for him a couple games that year. And like that's like up there for best games I've ever covered as a media person for sure.
Is the Spurs one on there for you?
Spurs ones was on there. I was actually in a fan section for that one. I don't remember how I got the tickets because I wasn't in.
Were you in the Warren one or the Turner one? I forgot about the Warren one.
It wasn't.
He wasn't there yet. He wasn't there yet. Never mind. Who was the other one that would do that year?
I don't know. I was in the Turner one, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, but I think I was in the. I'll just call it the Myles High Club, even though it's Turner's Block.
Counts.
Yeah, I was in there with a friend, and that was like the coming out party for Vic. The one I have above that one though is the Celtics game.
Yeah,
against where Quinn Buckner's shouting another one because he had so many, and he says it before the ball even goes in. But that's another one where they were down 4 with 37 seconds left. Like Vic gets fouled, hits 2 free throws, and then Kyrie misses the layup just barely, and Vic just pulls up right in front of Al Horford, who's still being amazing for the Celtics after all these years. And
since then he was traded away from the Celtics and then came back.
We can just I think Al Horford would probably be fine with just erasing the Sixers part of his journey from there. The Thunder rehabilitation, all of that. Yeah, it's insane. His career is insane.
Yeah, that one is up there. I don't remember if I don't think I was there for that, but I don't know.
I was not there for that one. I was not.
I don't think I was there either because I remember the Quinn call. He like, I can't even describe it. Like he had like swagger with the way he trotted up after the miss, and he forced the miss, right? He forced the Kyrie miss too, right?
I think Corey Joseph was on him.
A legend.
But
the niche of players that Tony was way higher on than everybody else, I might call it the Corey Joseph Club.
Great.
And that moment is it. Like every time I wrote about him, it's like, oh, their defensive rating when him and Oladipo are on the floor together is like 94 or something hilarious. And he couldn't score at all. But man, could that team guard?
Occasionally a 3 would go in, and that would be a bonus when Corey Joseph was in the game. I was also a Kojo fan. I just think it's a catastrophe that we never got Kojo and a Flojo. Let's just leave it there.
I think the Flojos are probably not.
Okay. Do you have any other Vic games or anything?
No, Spurs was there. He didn't.
I do have one. He had
what game was it in the Cavs series that he was exceptional?
The triple double.
Yeah.
Game 6. He had a few in that.
I think it was 6 because they were losing in his home game and they actually like destroyed them for once. Yeah. That one I was at that one. That one was there. Yeah. And that series had the Bojan game, which was also one. Yes. These are not regular season games. You asked about big games, but both of those were awesome. Yes.
Yes. Though he had a Bulls game winner.
Yep. And then after that game, you remember this? He did the Bally Sports interview. I think it was Fox Sports at the time. And he said, we're going to have both these guys here for a really, really long time. And he was talking about Turner and Sabonis. And all the fans were like, yeah, this pairing's awesome. And then it was like a point of contention for the rest of time.
They were here for a long time still after that.
Turner still.
To be fair, they lasted longer than he did. So. That's true. Okay, so I think that's all the big games that I have on my list.
Okay.
About TJ Warren's 53 points in the bubble.
On mine.
Yep. That was just like
honestly all the bubble games for him.
Yeah. That game especially, like just like getting sports back alone.
Yeah.
Was like incredible. But like an awful time. And then like him just going off. Like that was just an all-timer.
So that season was the season I did clips like during games. Mm-hmm. And I got a new computer between the Pacers' last game pre-shutdown and that game. And the recording software has a function that can record like external audio. And I had it turned off before, and I didn't realize it was on. And so my now wife was sitting next to me with this game on, and I think he got to 30 in the first half, and he hit a 3 over Ben Simmons. And I literally said, "Oh my God, he did it again!" And I posted the clip, and you can hear me say it in the video. It's still on my Twitter feed if someone wants to find it. And I was mortified when I realized my sound was on. It was ridiculous. It was unbelievable.
So now I just like wish, like when we all were taking video on the media row last night, like every single person that was in the media row
for the last shot,
for that shot. Like me and Tyler Smith are just like looking over, like silently, like bug-eyed, like in amazement at what just happened. Like I wish I just would have let it loose a little bit just to have that on the audio clips. Everybody has the same video anyway. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like you hear.
Yeah,
like,
how would anyone see it from that slightly different angle from you to me?
But I gotta admit, like I think I watched every person's just to see that slightly little different thing. So I got TJ Warren's 53. I think I have both those game winners already mentioned. Both the IST games. I have multiple IST games really.
I put every IST game from 2023-24.
There's so like
the Sixers game was awesome.
Amazing.
132-126. The Hawks game was like the most insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable shot making. No defense, but like that was an incredible game. Like even if there's no defense, like it's so hard to hit as many shots as both teams did.
Buddy Hield did not miss in the whole game. I remember it was like a lot of time left in the game, and both Quinn Snyder and Rick Carlisle they just gave up on defense. They didn't play centers for like 10 minutes. Myles came out, Capella came out, and it was Toppin and Jalen Johnson at the 5 for forever. It was crazy. The Celtics IST game, the Bucks
That's
IST
way up
game.
there for me.
Yeah,
I mean, they were IST games way up there for me.
They were all amazing. I missed one actually. Who did they not have a fun IST game with? There must have been one stinky one, right?
The Pistons.
Oh yeah, that one.
But you did have the Asar Thompson getting dropped that moment. Like
that's right.
Very, very fun. Bucks, obviously the Vegas IST game.
Yeah, amazing.
It's definitely up there. I have a category that I like to call Lance Stevenson returns. There's three of these because we got I'm going to start with one that nobody mentioned when I asked about this on Twitter. Thank you to everybody who replied and gave me like reminders for some of these things that I had forgotten about. I did remember all three of these though. So Lance Stevenson, his first game back in Indiana after he was a Hornet. This was actually a terrible game, but Solomon Hill won the game off of a tip off of a Rodney Stuckey air ball. I was in the arena for that one.
Don't remember that one. Can't lie.
It was an ugly game. Like the only thing memorable from it is Lance came back and Solomon Hill had a game winner. Lance returns for the first time as a Pacer against the Raptors. That was an awesome game. And then obviously the ending where Lance unnecessarily takes the layup and PJ Tucker and DeMar DeRozan took exception to that. Lance returns for the second time as a Pacer against the Nets.
Game?
Nets scores 20 points in that first quarter. Just insane. Like that's still like a record, right? For a guy off the bench scores that many points in the first quarter. Like they didn't win that game, but that's kind of like the first Tyrese game where they scored 48 in the first quarter. Like they didn't win that game, but that game's like in your memory forever. There's my Lance returns category. I have those three.
I like that category. I can't say I had any of that. Can I mention a game that actually probably should have counted in the Haliburton moments section?
Is it Andrew Nembhard's game winner?
That will come up. No, that pass though would qualify.
Yeah.
This is a very quads I should not count one. The 2024 All-Star game probably should have come up last in our program. Yeah. And it was an awesome game.
That was the only time the game was competitive though, was when he was like hitting everything. Because they were actually defending some of those shots, to be fair.
That is true.
Still argue he should have got the All-Star MVP. Way more efficient than Damian Lillard was in that game.
Things that do not matter for 100, Alex. Yes, I had the Nemhard shot, obviously. His Knicks shot would count if we were doing playoff games. But then the game that he followed it up with is also remembered. He was really good, right? But like his stat, and again, I'm not trying to diminish his game by saying what I'm saying. That game against the Warriors is remembered more because of the game right before it. You know what I mean? Like lots of guys have like one game where they pop and the Pacers win, but very few do it right after the best shot they've ever hit in their life, right? Like that was unreal.
There's something about Pacers rookies on a West Coast road trip where those kind of things just like crazy things happen. Like Myles had his like coming out party. Joe Young had like a great stretch in the same time. Jarris had a really good one last year in his first West Coast trip. But yeah, that Lakers game, like I wasn't able to watch that live for some reason. And I like somehow stayed off of Twitter and just like watched it in the morning and like just watch it like, oh, like, am I going to keep watching this? Because they were down by a lot. And like they made that crazy comeback to end the game. Like that's definitely way up there. In terms of ranking these, I don't know how we would, honestly, but that Nemhard shot, another one where you're like hitting it over like an all-time great to hit it over LeBron too.
The LeBron factor. Yeah.
The Haliburton left-hand pass where it feels like it might be a little late and it's just the perfectly timed, just everything about that game was awesome.
Do you have any, by chance, Chris Duarte clutch shots in your list? Because that was a thing.
I should. I did not. But he had some incredible, like it should have been a 4-point play that would have given him the win. The one, was that against the Lakers? Am I remembering that right?
Oh, in my head, I was about to say, is that against the Hawks? So I don't remember.
He got hit and he hits the three in the corner, right? Are we thinking of the same one?
Yes.
I want to say
Duarte and Haliburton only overlapped for like 3 weeks of time. Yes. But that was the thing. We were like, oh, this is the era coming. It was these two. Did not last very long. No. But he had some moments, man. He really did. They ended back to Summer League.
Yeah. And now he's like hanging on.
I believe his one where everybody's like, oh, this is the thing this guy can do is against the Hornets in Charlotte.
Yep. Yeah. It's like first game he had like 27, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm scrolling through my YouTube video thumbnails right now to see if there's any that aren't going to be on my list that I want to include. And I just saw Chris Duarte and I was like, oh, I forgot how many like actually impressive shots he made.
Okay. I have this is before your time, but Glenn Robinson, the third game winner in Atlanta. Do you remember that one at all? Paul George was still here that year. The Sabonis game winner against the Celtics. When everybody
I have that. I do have that.
Thought, Nate Bjorkgren was a genius, including the players. Everybody thought he was a genius. Then he ran that same play every time the rest of the year, and it never worked again.
Also happened, yes.
I had forgotten about this shot, but somebody brought it up on Twitter. Obi Toppin's game winner against the Suns.
Also on my list. I only have like one left now. Yes. Booker at 62.
There's like so many putback chances that guys missed, and then he ends up putting it in. Let's see. Do I have any others? These are all like old. Well, no, I got one other one in the Wesley Matthews game winner. Do you have that one?
I don't even remember that. I
did not remember this one either. Someone had to bring it up to me, but it was against the Paul George Thunder where Bojan misses a shot. Wesley Matthews comes crashing, another rebound tip.
Oh, yes. I do remember that.
In the non-game winner category, I have the Pacers should have been perfect third quarter against the Nuggets. Do you remember this game at all? Did you watch?
Yes, I do. I did a whole podcast on it, and I stand on my take that he should have shot it.
It's only perfect if you make it. If you like, you can't just like sit there until the buzzer goes off.
I still think it probably sits in history as like, man, that's so cool. They didn't miss for a whole quarter. They went 20, would have been 20 for 20. Like, it would have been such a sucker move to just be wide open and just not shoot.
Yeah.
So I can't really, and he had scored in that quarter. I don't know. I can't really fault him. Also, I also, again, it was amazing. They missed a free throw. Imperfect, I say.
Party pooper.
I went back and watched the whole thing.
Like that was like it was such a dark time, like the Jim O'Brien, like that was like the end of it. Like somehow he was still there for that, but then it was like mercifully over very soon after that. but like that was like a shining light in the midst of a lot of just like mid basketball for a long time. So that quarter was just incredible. 51 points, I think. And they only missed the one shot at the end for McBob. One of my personal favorite games, the day after the brawl, when the Pacers had 6 available guys, Fred Jones, Eddie Gill played all 48 minutes. They did not win this game against the Magic. Grant Hill was on the Magic. I think it was Dwight Howard's rookie year. Maybe Steve Francis was there too. But they lost it by 3. Fred Jones had a chance to tie at the very end of the game. I asked Fred Jones about it once. Like, he was like signing autographs before a game. And he said, like, man, if I was in better shape, I would have scored 50 that night. That's so funny. Like, he was like, yeah, I was not in shape. Okay. What other ones do you have from your era?
Okay. I actually can't believe no one brought this up. I went through some of your replies. The O'Shea Brissett, Justin Anderson highlight.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was a top tier.
That's
like,
that's like moment. A play. That might be like one of my favorite Pacers plays ever. One
fan favorite who was very meh, and one like scraping through COVID 10 days guy linking up for the play of the year. What? What? That was crazy.
Well, like Justin Anderson wasn't even like part of the play. Like, he was just part of the reaction.
Yeah,
like it was the like Tyrese threw like the football pass to Lance. Lance throws the behind the back pass. Doesn't even like he does the no look that he doesn't even see O'Shea's dunk. Like, everything about that play. Like, I don't remember anything else about that game. Everything about that play was just perfect. Which they were like not really. I think they won that game, but like you didn't really want them to win at that point. So it was just like,
yeah, I'm not going to bring up George Hill's half court shot and 15 points against the Knicks today. I think that will not make the cut.
Which is really unfortunate. Like, a Pacers legend like has an awesome final game with the team, but you like didn't want them to win that game. So it kind of stinks that he played well. Just everything about the lottery kind of just, it sucks that it has to be that way.
2 epic games I covered that the Pacers didn't win involved the same guy whose name you mentioned earlier, someone who was very upset with Lance Stevenson. DeMar DeRozan's had some insane finishes to games in Cambridge Fieldhouse, half quarter-ish on New Year's Eve, and then the missed free throw 3-point play. It's always DeRozan against the Pacers for some reason. Those games, like, obviously were not fun for people who listen to this podcast, but it's just like an awe of basketball moment. I was like, wow. Wow.
The 3-point, like the 3-pointer where like he didn't even realize how much time was left.
Yeah.
Was just brutal as a Pacers fan. Like, to shoot a guy who doesn't like to shoot threes, doesn't need to shoot a 3, shoots a one-legged like accidental oops shot and just buries it. And then he has a game winner the next day. Like, just it's honestly a travesty that they didn't have a clutch player of the year that year, because like he deserves one of those.
I know I've seen other game winners like by non-Pacers teams. George Niang pushing down Victor Oladipo for an offensive rebound putback for a game winner. I've randomly somehow remember Bojan throwing it away. I remember.
Oh God! Why?
But like, for some reason, the DeRozan ones stand out to me as like good games, mostly because the shots were insane. You know, I'm sure I'm missing some that I'm specifically talking about ones I was in the building and covered. Like, I can think of ones on the road, but where like that kind of thing happened and it was crazy. Alas.
So there's a couple more like ancient ones that
crazy.
Another one of my favorites as a kid, I think the Pacers won like 124-57, where it was the first time an NBA team had ever doubled up an opponent's score. They beat the Blazers. Wow. I think I remember that score right. I don't know for sure. It's been so long. But it was in like the mid 90s, and like the Pacers hit like everything and the Blazers hit absolutely nothing. And like I don't even think I watched this game live as a kid, but I just remember seeing the highlights on Sports Center and just like, and I was just like forever obsessed with like whenever it was a blowout, like, can they double them up again? Like, I would always watch that, and I don't think it's happened again.
That seems like impossible.
Yeah, it was just like everything in the world has to go right for one team and wrong for the other.
Yeah.
And like you're gonna be playing like backups at the end too. So like it's just so many things. And then I think the other big 90s one that somebody replied to me on Twitter with like Michael Jordan returns, but the Pacers win.
He was 45 that game, right? That was his only game where he didn't have 23. Yeah.
Number 45.
A legendary one. The first game I ever went to in Baker's life, the Pacers won on a near buzzer beater by Jamal Tinsley against the Spurs. I was like 9 or something. No, I was older than that. But I remember it very well still to this day. And in retrospect, it's pretty impressive they beat Tim Duncan. So I had no idea at the time. Yeah, I had a shocking gap between the bubble and Tyrese Haliburton coming to the team of like both moments and games. I was like, oh, that was so memorable, man. Wow. Which says a lot about that time of them floating through the winds. I think our summation here is that in the let's call it the Kevin Pritchard era, that Haliburton shot we just saw is a top 3-1. No, probably not 1, but 3-1 ish moment for him and of a regular season game. Like it is, it's in that tier, man. It's crazy.
I think it could be 1. If you want to put it at 1, I have no problem with that. I don't know where I like it's hard for me to decide right now. So
Big Return is 1 for me, but it's certainly my top 3.
I mean, Big Return is an amazing moment, but I don't even know if it's in my top 5.
Derek, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this. We're really far into this podcast, so we'll do this briefly. Tyrese Haliburton shot, not even the most impressive thing that happened in Pacers Bucks. Tony Bradley averaged 10,800 rebounds per 36 in the first half. 0.2 seconds came in to do one thing. It was grab a rebound if Giannis missed a free throw. You will never guess what Tony Bradley did. He grabbed the rebound after Giannis missed a free throw. Then he came in late again when they had Dame at the foul line to get a rebound potentially. Dame made it. So that one doesn't even count as play time. On Basketball Reference, it says he played 0 seconds. He did not play 0 seconds, but he got a rebound. And so his per 36 is on his first 10 day, 24 points, 16 rebounds, made every shot he took. and all 3 of his appearances, his plus minus was either 0 or plus. Legendary 10 day for Tony Bradley. He only played 9 minutes. He did very little that I would consider like actually noteworthy for his long-term prognosis, but he's getting a second 10 day. They need it to be a center. And because I think of the Moses Brown, Jahlil Okafor, Tony Bradley trio, he's probably been the most impressive to me, which is damning with faint praise, but still, I would say that's fine. Go for it. If you need an emergency center, this has been the best guy you've had on the addition so far.
Yeah, it's really hard to make any.
It's only played 9 minutes.
Value, yeah, and like most of the minutes are all like garbage. Like it does say something that like they put him in the game when they wanted to make sure they got a rebound.
Yeah,
like that's not nothing. So yeah, I think another 10 day makes sense. Like let the audition continue before you make a final decision on whether you want to finish the season with him.
They are paying him in case someone gets hurt in front of him, is my read on it. I don't know that, obviously, but like the reason that I've talked about third center so much is like they need it in the postseason just in case. Like if Tony Bradley's playing in the playoffs, like you're screwed, right? So with no offense to Tony Bradley, who deserves to be in the NBA, it's just reality. So it's about having insurance, and maybe he gets their 15th spot if he plays well again. Like there's no actual problem with that, but yeah, he's just fine. He's fine. There's no one out. The problem is in the criteria of like centers who you'd be psyched about actually being a third center come playoff time. They're not there. They're not available. So go with the guy that's made the most sense so far. I have nothing good or bad to say about this. He actually did enough stuff to earn it, which no other center did. So he gets the second 10 day. I have no issues with that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there.
How many transactions do you think they've had this season off the top of your head just because they had 2 Achilles tears to centers in the first 6 games of the season? Okay.
Yeah, almost all
signing and waiving Moses Brown is 2. Thomas Bryant trade, Jahlil Okafor signing, both Tony Bradley signings. It's just everything. It's basically every move they've made. Actually, that is every move they've made. Oh, trading James Wiseman also because of an Achilles tear. Literally every move they've made this entire season is because of that. That's so crazy to me.
Yep. Which is just an insane thing that happened. Like, I think you did all the research so you could like nothing like that's happened.
Yeah.
before.
I couldn't even find two with like the
same team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let alone position.
Well, same position. It's crazy. It is so crazy and nonsense. There's only been one in the whole league, right? I can't remember. I looked this up at one point recently. There was someone else who had DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray was the first one since then at all. Like, how did that happen? It's unreal. Yeah, good for Tony Bradley. Maybe he'll get a game where he gets he played real minutes against the Bulls and was okay. Rick Carlisle pointed it out after the game. Maybe if there's a game where he actually plays, because if he signs on Thursday when this comes out, he could have 6 games of availability because they have a pretty heavy schedule there. If he gets a real game where he plays, that would help a lot in assessing if this is what they should want or not want, for example. But again, he's made every shot he's taken so far. There's about nothing he could have done better to have earned this. So good for him. I'm glad a Tony is on the Pacers. First one since Tony Warren Jr., who was not going by Tony. So there we go.
Maybe you need to go by TJ or something for some reason, even though you're not a junior.
My middle name is Robert, I pronounce it Drobert, so it's TJ. It's spelled J Robert. So
Tony Bob.
Unfortunately, my Gmail I made in like 6th grade starts with T Bob. It's really embarrassing, and I still use it to this day. I always feel bad when I have to email a new team PR department and be like, "Hey, here's who I am. Here's what I'm doing," and they're like, "What?
T Bob?
T Bob? Sorry, I could change this for free very easily." Alas. Okay, well, these are not supposed to be this long, which means we both did way too much research into these topics.
I still got more that I didn't even mention.
Well, rapid fire, quickly.
All right, quick hitter. Danny Granger, game winner against the Suns.
Yeah.
Troy Murphy, tip-in game winner. Dunleavy, tip-in game winner. There were a lot in the Jim O'Brien era. Those were like the saving grace of those things. Like TJ Ford had a bunch of random clutch moments. I feel like Anthony Johnson, shout out to him just generally. Yeah, there you go.
Bravo. There needs to be we need to put these on a website and you can click a random button and then it just gives you a random one.
That'd be fun.
That'd be not worth my time at all. Derek, where can people find you and the things you say about the Pacers?
You can find the things I say about the Pacers on this podcast occasionally. You can also follow me on Blue Sky at iPacers, on Twitter at iPacersblog. Working on a new shirt. Hopefully I'll finish that before I head overseas for a week. I might be a little quiet on those websites for a bit. Heading to London. And then iPacers.com. Hopefully I'll have some more written stuff for people to check out soon.
Pretty boring game with nothing to write about on Tuesday.
Yeah, I got distracted.
Tough. I did some housework today and then took a nap. So 2 days in a row of nap, and I got to get going on actual work. You can find me on those places as well at Tony Arise's podcast. There at Locked On Pacers. Back tomorrow with another guest, a new one. Derek will know him, a rising Pacers Twitter star. Kyle Taylor, welcome to the Locked On Pacers space. Very excited. We're going to talk about the Pacers' young players. Have they gotten better this year and how? I'm actually really looking forward to that. And then 2 big games over the weekend, including their biggest game of the season to date and likely will end the season as their biggest game of the season pending how the playoff race goes the rest of the way on Saturday. Thank you guys for listening today. Give Derek a follow. Check out all the things he has to say. We will see you tomorrow.